Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, I normally talk about documentaries, but I did say the channel could be about discussions or whatever I feel like it, right? It's my channel. With that being said, I think I want to get into a little more about me personally, so you can get to know who I am, not just to be like talking about documentaries all the time. And this has been on my heart to do for a couple of days, and I just thought it'd be, it's just something that's been like, do it. So I'm going to talk about it. And it's something I really talk about because the energy is no longer there. And what I wanted to discuss is my divorce and that whole divorce and what that looks like. So, and they say like the divorce rate is 50%. I don't know what the numbers really are, but I was married for 20 years. Okay, 20 years. I did a 20-year bid. I have nothing bad at this point to say about my ex-husband. I guess I want to put my experience with it out there, and I will get to the part of when I mentioned how I spent about $45,000 on a divorce. So when you're about to get a divorce, it is something to consider. But you don't realize that when you're in the heat of it, because you just want to get out, depending on how toxic it is or depending on the circumstances. All you want to do is get out. So you're not thinking about money. You're not thinking about, certain things. Like my mom, she probably wouldn't care if I said this, I don't know. But like when she divorced her second husband, she told me that she left everything in the house. Like she literally just left all of the furniture and bounced, and he came home and she wasn't there. So my point is, like, when you get a divorce, you're not looking at how much this is going to cost. You're not caring about furniture. You're not, sometimes you don't even care about the kids. Okay, like it's like and I'm not saying that happened on my side. What I'm saying is, like, it becomes like a war, especially if it's like bad. Most divorces, you're getting a divorce. They're not pretty. They look good later on. When all of that heightened negative tension and energy calms down, it gets better. But when you're in the midst of it and you guys are going back and forth, and there's kids involved, and there's assets, and there's cars, and whatever you guys have together, all of that has to be divided. All of that has to be decided upon. But you're not thinking about that in the heat of the moment when you guys are going through the divorce. You just want to get out. So in my case, I got married young. I got married at 25. And for many people, that's not considered quote unquote young. Some people, tend to wait longer in their 30s when everything's established. In my case, I decided to get married with someone young because honestly, when I got married, it was for the purpose of depending on somebody else, because I didn't think that I could make it on my own. And it's true. I didn't think that I could survive without somebody else's help. That was my mentality. I'm 25. People get married for different reasons. My reason to get married during that time at 25 was, I don't see how I'm going to make it without struggling, without having a second income. I know it sounds crazy. I'm just telling you that was my mindset at the time. And it's basically like everyone has their journey that they go on. For me, that was my journey. It was like a dependency thing. It was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. So hey, look at you over there. Let's get married because we can build together. Were we cool? Were we friends when we got married? Yes. Did I know there were times when I was like, every so often it was like, what am I doing? why am I in this relationship? But then I would go back and change my mind and be like, okay, let me just stick it out and just bear it out. But in the back of my mind, it always was like, this is not genuinely, wholeheartedly it. And I knew it. But I did it for 20 years until everything eventually blew up and we couldn't mask it anymore. We couldn't act like we were good anymore. It blew up because it was bound to happen that way because it was falsified, right? It wasn't genuine. We weren't authentically, for me, we weren't like authentically authentic and genuinely in love. Now what I know about love, it changes it a little bit for me. And there's things, of course, that I could have done differently. The thing that gets me, there's two people in a relationship. Not just one. So whatever happened when you guys get married, and there's no reason to blame the other person because both people are technically at fault. Because both people are responsible. And that's what I had come to understand. Was at a point when we were getting divorced, I was defending myself constantly because I wanted to defend myself for what was being said about me. But now I don't care. I don't care. Like if he says that I was like the worst person in the world, I'll just be like, if that's what he says, then that's what he says. At some point I was like, no, I'm not the worst person. He did this and he did that. And I don't do that anymore because I don't give a, like I said, I'm trying not to curse in 2025. I promise you, my language, I've brought the language down. So right now I don't give a about what he says about me. Like it just rolls off of me. It's like if he wants to say I was a monster, then so be it. Whatever. It's like, say what you gotta say. It doesn't bother me anymore. And that's the beauty of it. So my point of this video, I want to get into just a couple of things. If anybody is going through a divorce, listen, what I can say is there were times when I was going through this divorce that I thought that I was not going to make it. And I think that's when I said that was my journey. It was like for me to learn how to be independent on my own is my journey. And during the divorce, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 2 daughters. How am I going to take care of my daughters by myself? It didn't make sense to me. I remember calling my cousin one time. My cousin and I are really close. She's like 6 years older than me. And our birthdays are 4 days apart. And I called her and I felt so bad. It was like I was in this victim mentality, which I no longer embrace. I no longer embody. I'm not a victim. But I called her and I was like, saying to her, how am I going to make it? How am I going to make it with 2 kids? I don't think I ever looked at myself like, oh, you're a single mom. Although that's what I was, right? That's what I became at the time, a single mom. But I was trying to understand, how was I going to make it by myself? And she just was like, you have to. I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is, how am I supposed to like do everything? Like work, take care of the kids, make sure they go to school, just food, clothes, all of the stuff that it required, and putting my energy into work and still trying to take care of myself. It did not make sense to me. For anybody going through it, listen, I promise you, the other side of the rainbow is there. You just have to continue to push and endure. And for me, because it says what, those who endure to the end, you gotta keep it. You have to endure. What are you gonna do? Like just lay down and just give up? With all of that being said, let me get to some details and some parts of this story just to explain to you the extremities of what I went through. So when we were separated in 2018, my ex-husband moved out in 2018. I'm talking about it was not a good look. I was so down. Like I didn't want to be here anymore. Okay? My ex-husband, just to put it out there, he had a stroke and a brain aneurysm. So in one moment, my life changed in one moment. I was bringing our daughters to school. I think they were like in middle school at the time, 13, 14. My daughters are 13 months apart. And I was bringing them to school, and in one moment I got a phone call that my ex-husband had like blood on his brain. And whatever, long story short, in the moment, in an instant, my life changed. And it was like I'm a stay-at-home mom. I had the privilege of being home with my daughters since they were born. I was working prior to them being home. I had a government job, quit that job, and stayed home with my daughters. When that happened, my ex-husband used to take care of everything, and I'm grateful to him to be able to do that. I'm grateful to the entire experience, guys. I'm just letting you know. I'm getting there. Just bear with me. I'm grateful for the entire experience of it all. Because without that experience of how that all went down, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be who I am today. My whole energy is just like, it's different. I am not who I was before. And the people say it to me. And I know I'm continuing to expand. My mind just, my consciousness just continues to expand. And it's all because of, this whole journey that I'm on. But anyway, I got a call, that he was having a brain rupture. Now, mind you, he's like 3 states away because he was driving trucks at the time. And I had to just like put everything in order and get into like stealth mode. Kids, put them with their aunt. I didn't even look back to what they were doing. If they were in school, it was like, I don't even care. I had to like raise money. I had to do a GoFundMe account. My ex-husband's mother at the time
was like, don't do that, dear. Don't do a GoFundMe account. We're going to keep it within the family.
I think it was more or less that she didn't want anybody to know I was asking for money. Like, it was like, listen, this just happened. I'm not working. I am putting out an SOS that we need help. And guess what? I must have got about $10,000-$12,000 because this whole period was within about a 3-4 month window. It happened in November, December, January, February. By March, I could say that was the period because he was in the hospital for about 3 months. So I'm driving from one state back to another state, checking on the kids. We had cars, we had a truck, we had a Ram truck. I had a Volkswagen CC, and I had to like drive cars back and forth. It was a whole ordeal trying to figure out bills and money and all of that stuff. And I'm like, how are we paying these bills? And then I had to do a disability form. So in the process of that, I'm filling out disability. And then I got my mom telling me that,
the disability process, you may not get it on the first try because
my mom's current husband is on disability, but it took him years because he had to go to court. I was like, listen, I'm not doing that. I'm getting this money. Like that's the thing about my consciousness being like changed. When you be like, listen, when you declare something, it's yours. In my mind, I never saw that we were not going to get that money. It's always was like tunnel vision, like I am going to get that money. Boom. So March was when the period ended. Ended when all the money stopped coming in because people were randomly sending me $500, $600. Friends that we've known throughout the years through our marriage. Some people were just coming out, here's $200. Then they would come back again a month later. My aunt, she was sending me like $400. Like, it was just like everything happened how it was supposed to happen. Okay? And then when all of that monies had stopped, we were approved, I want to say, because I had to maintain the money, March, April, May. I want to say around May, June is when the disability was like, hey, you're approved for disability. So now my ex-husband, he is good. He has permanent disability for the rest of his life, right? As long as, everything goes well. But in the process of all of that, I wasn't making a lot of money, guys. I wasn't making a lot of money through this entire process. When my ex-husband left me, I listen, it's like God. That's it. It's like my ex-husband used to always say to me, like, when you pray to God, Tiffany, things happen. He used to watch it. And I embody that. Like, okay, that's true. That is real. I know that what I ask for, it happens. So I had to put all of my trust into God. Every part of my being into knowing that I'm going to be good. But there were times when I was like, oh my gosh, like I told you, when I would call my cousin was like my soundboard. And if any of you have like somebody in your life like that, who's just like, I'll call her sometime 3 o'clock in the morning and just be like, oh my gosh. And she'll just be like, Tiffany, it was kind, it was loving. But sometimes she was a little would push back and
like, Tiffany, it's kind of like, snap out of it. You got this.
But it was love. Okay? Give me one moment. I'm going to get to the rest of the story. Okay, just a couple of things that I can bring up without getting too like negative, right? Because that's not the point of the video. It's just to let you know that when you go through a divorce, yes, it's going to cost you money, right? I don't think we realize how much divorces cost. When you get married, it's easy. I don't remember how much it costs to get married. I think it was less than $200. I got married in 2001. I got married in 2001. And it was very easy. It's very easy to get married. I don't know the cost in other states. I'm in Georgia. I don't know how much it costs in each state, but it's easy to get married. Now, when you get a divorce, when you accumulate all of those things, and then all of the requests that are coming in, for example, my ex-husband, was demanding like, oh, you need to take my name off the house. Mind you, I just filed bankruptcy. Bankruptcy was one of the best things I ever did. I thought it was going to be like a negative thing. Bankruptcy is like a fresh start. It clears your credit. It gets rid of all those credit cards. It's like a blessing. You think that you're not going to be able to do anything because you have bankruptcy. No, it's like a clean slate. That's what it is. It's a clean slate. So it cleaned my slate. Yes, I had to get rid of my Volkswagen CC Sport stick shift, which I loved. But you know what? I also had a friend tell me, like, listen, she was like, what do you have to let go? What do you have to let go of? I was like, damn, I got to let go of this car.
She was like, Tiffany, get rid of the car.
And I'm holding on to this car. It was a whole journey of like letting things go. Like I had to learn to just release and be like, let it go. Anyway, he wanted me to take his name off of the house. Now, mind you, he knows that I just had bankruptcy and it'll be hard. So I don't know if he thought I couldn't do it. I don't know what's in his mind. But that's what he was requesting. So I'm like, okay. I think they usually say you have to wait 7 years to start to do refinancing and all these other things. That's not true, guys. It's not true. Just because you have a bankruptcy, I promise you, we live in the United States of America. If there's a will, there's a way. And it's not even in the United States. Listen, God is infinite. There's with God, all things are possible. Okay? All things. So whatever you want to do, get it done, baby. Think about it, imagine it, and it's happening. So I saw myself refinancing the house. Now, and to top it off, when I refinanced the house, it was during COVID. Normally, I think refinancing the house doesn't take that long. It took me like 5 months, guys, to get his name off the house. And it cost me $7,000 to do it. Now, mind you, I want you to really hear me. I was not making a lot of money. But I had all of this money just pouring in. I said to myself, in my mind, I want to have about $20,000 just stashed. I said it. I remember feeling it. Like, I want to see it just there. And bam, it was just there. It was just there. I just had it. Okay? Is that real? This is that real. So when it came time to refinance, I had to cough up $7,000. So I had the money to do it. And The divorce cost me, I had hired an attorney, and the attorney, excuse me, hold on. The attorney, and I'm not bragging, guys. I just want you to know the power of God, like the power of manifesting things, the power of you and your infinite wisdom that's inside of you, your infinite just your I am. Like it's a real thing. When you believe it and you see it, nothing can stop you. So I hired an attorney. My first attorney was recommended by another cousin. I had so many, I'm looking at the support system. I had so many people in my corner. My cousin was dating an attorney at the time, and she recommended this attorney. And I mean, she started the paperwork up. She seemed like she was okay, but she wasn't returning my calls. Like, I would set up an appointment with her, and I paid her $5,000. I paid her $5,000 to get a divorce. And I felt really good when I talked to her. One thing I liked about her is when we did the video, you know, most attorneys will get you to someone else, like, oh, talk to my assistant. I don't know what they call them. Talk to, you know, the other person in the office. She got on the Zoom and sat there with me, and I was like, oh, wow. The thing that I had to fire her is because I had 3 meetings, and I was being really patient with her, and I would set up an appointment to go over my divorce stuff, and she just wouldn't show up. But it all worked out perfectly, because within that process, I was able to hire another attorney. Now, the next attorney took my case, knowing that I already had, you know, my paperwork set up, and she was like, okay, I'm going to charge you like $1,500. So my divorce wound up costing me $6,500, guys. Okay? So I said that it's about 43 grand. So what is that? 7,000 plus 6,000, that's 13,500. Okay? So that's 13,500 right there. So getting a divorce so far cost me 13,500. I'm a person who likes to anybody knows me, I like adding up numbers and money. It's just fun to me looking at numbers. So 13,500 right there. Okay, so I fired the attorney, got another attorney. This other attorney went in. She was like, she says when people see her in the court, and when she shows up at the court, they be like, oh my gosh. They be like mad that she's there. She went in like a bulldog, guys. When she went in, she started negotiating like she started negotiating the equity on my house, because it was a certain amount of equity I was supposed to pay him. She cut that bad boy in half. She was like, no, he wasn't in the house to pay you. You had to pay for the kids. We're taking off thousands. She took off thousands of dollars in equity. Okay? So, anyway, just let me stick with the story. So this attorney got the equity down from 50,000 to 30,000. So for like, I want to say a minute. It was a minute. It was like, I was trying to figure out, because I knew I had to pay him $30,000, and I could not figure out how I was going to pay him 30 grand, because if I didn't pay my ex-husband 30 grand, they were in the courts. We made an agreement in the court that he was going to have the access to, I would have to sell my house. And the way the housing market is going right now, where would I go? And I'm not saying, what I'm saying is like, why would I move out of a house where if you knew how much my rent was, you would be like, what? You would be mad. Okay? So why would I move out of my house to go pay rent or pay some other mortgage somewhere else for, like, let's just say example, $2,500 a month? That's ridiculous to me. And I know it's happening out there, so I'm not judging anybody. What I'm saying is that's not what mine is, and that would be upside down for me. So for me to move out and have to pay that amount of rent, it would have been upside down for me. So I'm like, I might as well just stay where I am. But I had to manifest for me to be in my house and figure out how to get this 30 grand. Now I'm talking to my sister. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this money? But then it dawned on me that I'm complaining to everybody, and I had to just stop, and I cut the energy off of talking about it, because I realized I was perpetuating the story. Okay, I realized, like, sometimes you have to go through it to understand how the energy works. You have to see the side of what you were doing, and what I was doing was perpetuating the energy. My cat's outside the door. Hold on, let me let my cat in. I can't imagine like the house without her. She was actually outside today, and I didn't know she was out there because I have a dog as well. I must have taken the dog out to walk, and somehow she slipped out the door. What I think happened, she slipped outside, and I just happened to hear her like whining or meowing, and this was like late, late, so I let her back in. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, the attorney. Okay, so hired the attorney. I was really, really concerned in my spirit about how am I going to get this money up, because I just couldn't see living somewhere else at that time, because it didn't make sense based on the fact that I would move to pay more in rent, why would I do that? If I did have to sell my house, I still have to split, the money with my ex. So I promise you, my energy, I started to reprogram my energy. I started to be like, listen, I'm going to find me another place of employment. I started shifting. I knew it. I was like, this is happening. It's going to happen. I am going to find me somewhere else to work. And I wrote it down. I write things down, but I'm realizing now everything that I wrote down, everything you've already been manifesting, you've been doing all along. It's just a reprogramming of putting it in a direction that you want it to be in. Because you're doing it already. You're manifesting already. So why not purposely manifest where you want things to go? So I purposely started saying, you know what? I am going to get me another job. I'm going to do something else that's going to bring me more money. Right? Because I already was doing pretty well. I manifested all that money to do the refinance. I manifested the money to do the divorce. But now I needed 30 grand. Bam. So I work in another place, and I was able to manifest that and keep my house. Right? I just want to put this video out there because I want you to know, if you're going through a divorce, listen, you can get through it. I thought it was like the end of my world. Okay? But better things started happening. Better things started coming in. Relationships. My energy started changing. Better people. Like, I'm not comparing to say better. I'm just talking about energies based on being around people when you're sharing that same frequency, and it's like a high level, or people are going to match your energy. So if you're walking around and you're connecting, you're just going to automatically create great relationships, create great circumstances. I just started rebuilding my life from the bottom. I'm not here to talk bad about my ex. My uncle just texted me. So I gotta call my uncle. I'm about to get out. I gotta call my uncle. I'm not here to talk bad. One thing I can say is but I had a circumstance where I actually went to jail, and I'm putting it out there. I went to jail. Why? I went to get my hair done, and if you see my hair, I actually cut my hair. It was really, really long. It was longer. And my mom laughs at me because when she said I cut it, she'd be laughing at how long it really still is. But I went to jail because I refused to pay for a service when they did my hair. I literally sat in cold water, and the lady just left me there. And she's like, I washed your hair. You need to pay for it. And it was like, no, that's not what a deep clean looks like. If anybody has locks, a deep clean, they soak it. They move your hair around. She put me in cold water, left me there, and said I'll be back, and never came back. And it was like, pay me for a service. And I'm like, normally I pay for stuff. I don't mind paying for stuff. Okay, I'm not one of those people. But with that being said, I was like, I refused to put my energy into paying this lady who didn't do anything. And where I live, it's the crime. I didn't know it. I just was like, I thought I was standing up for myself. What I'm getting to is, when I had the only number I could remember when I was locked up, and I had money to bail myself out. Like everything, like let me tell you, when you put it out there that this is what you want to manifest, it happens. There's no stopping. There's no stopping what you want in your life. You just have to focus on that good energy. Whatever you want, it's there. And so, what was I saying? I was saying, my only number I could remember was my ex-husband. I couldn't, how easy numbers to remember. I couldn't remember anyone's number. I would have called my sensei. I used to do martial arts, and he would have came and got me because he stays up late. But I couldn't remember his number, and they have you write down 3 numbers. And anyway, I had a warrant out for my arrest. I didn't know it. I called my ex-husband to come get me. He was nice of them to come get me. But the first thing he said, "Can I ask you something?" I was like, "Yeah, what?" I'm telling him the story. "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They locked me up. Da 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 da." I'm telling him the story. No, that victim thing is gone now. And he said to me, "Can I ask you something?" I was like, "Yeah." And I stopped to listen. He said, "How are you getting all this money?" I said, "I work." It's really none of your business. But I wasn't going to be mean and be like, it's none of your business. But that was what he asked me. It's about creating the life you want to create. Creating the reality you want. So when I got married when I was 25, I did not create my own reality. Technically, that was my reality. That's where my mentality was prior. It was on thinking that I needed to depend on someone else. It was on thinking that I couldn't make it on my own. And in the recent years, since 2018, and everything that blew up in my face and my whole life just changed around, that is no longer the case. I can do anything I put my mind to. Anything I desire, anything I want, it's only in the palm of my hands. And it's just a matter of knowing that I can have it. And it's the same for you, if you believe that. And I just wanted to put it out without bashing, my ex-husband. That's not the purpose of it. So I hope I didn't. I wish him well. I hope I wasn't bashing him, because I'm not trying to. Because my daughter watches this video. They're grown now. So anyway, guys, I'm still going to do the documentaries. I'm still watching them because that's what I like to do. I like to watch documentaries. But nothing too negative that gets into my spirit. So I try to do things that are just that I could, do without judging people too much. But anyway, maybe I'll do more videos like this. Let me know if you have anything you want to say, comment, and I will talk to you guys. You notice the lighting? I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening.